Hey guys, today we are reviewing part 5 of The Time Monster, and this one does get back on track. I did really enjoy this one a lot. Now, I do think the resolution of the cliffhanger to part 4 is a little too easy, with Joe rescuing the doctor and them getting back on track to head toward Atlantis. It does seem a little too easy, considering how bad that predicament was supposed to be. Just hit the emergency button and he's back. That seems a little easy, but I get it. We got to get the story moving. That's fine. But you figure if it was that easy, the master would have anticipated it. But other than that little nitpick out of the way, I did very much enjoy this episode. First off, Ingrid Pitt. What a stunning woman. I have got to talk about Ingrid Pitt. I mean, not only is she a stunningly attractive woman with a costume that's very distracting, but just the poise to which she is holding herself, straight up, very regal. She has a very regal presence. I mean, definitely when she walks into a room, you can just see every eye turning to follow her. Partially because she's very attractive, but partially it's just this way she carries herself. That's really impressive. I can see now why in the trailer for the episode, Katie Manning's talking about, I want to be Ingrid Pitt. Why do I have to be Katie Manning? I want to be Ingrid Pitt. Because I get that. I totally get that. Because she just seems like such a good actress. Such a phenomenal presence. And she's really good in this role. Like the character she's playing, the Queen, I really get the Queen's motivations and why she's doing what she's doing. And it's really interesting seeing her interact with Delgado's master. Really like the way she's playing that character. And I also know she is in, The House That Drips Blood, which also has John Pertwee in it, and Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I've never actually watched that, but I'm familiar with it because, reading about John Pertwee. I've ran into it before. So I think that's what Ingrid Pitt's kind of known for, is like horror films back in the day, like back in the 70s and stuff. I think that's kind of what most people remember her for. I think she's also in Warriors of the Deep. Is it Warriors of the Deep? I think she's in another Doctor Who. I'm thinking it's Warriors of the Deep. But she's really impressive here. I also like the King in this story. I like him because he's been around for so long. I forgot to mention that in my Part 4 review, that I did enjoy that part in Part 4 where the King is showing the younger guy around. That was a pretty neat scene. I like him because he's like 500 years old, so he's smart, he's wise, and he knows when he's being conned. I love that whole conversation the King has with the Master, because the Master figures he's just going to dominate the King, and the King is completely in control of that conversation. It's so weird to see the Master just not in control and at a loss for words, basically, and not knowing what to do in a situation. I'm loving every second of the King just not having any of it, and the King being the one in control of the situation. Like, even when the Master tries to hypnotize him, the King just laughs at him, and even the music goes with it. It does start to do that kind of musical cue that plays when the Master's hypnotizing someone, and then when you see the King laugh, the music just kind of dies down like, ew. That is awesome. The King just... I love that. How he just calls it basically a parlor trick, and how he's seen all sorts of little tricks before in his lifetime. Even the TARDIS materializing didn't impress him. I love that. I'll come back and speak to you when I have more to say. And I like when the King's just like, you've already spoken to me and still haven't said anything. And have yet to say anything. I like that. You've already spoken to me and have yet to say anything. Loved it. Really liking the King of Atlantis in this. He's just a very wise, like Obi-Wan Kenobi style character. And I really, really, really like him. Definitely one of the highlights of the story. I like the fact that he immediately knows the Doctor and Joe are pretty good. He can just tell, just meeting someone by the way they hold themselves. I like that. And he has that implicit trust in the Doctor, which I like. And I enjoy hearing about the story of the Minotaur. It's nice to have a nice little origin story of the Minotaur, how it was a man, but Kronos, made him a Minotaur. That's interesting. I like that there's kind of an origin for that. And we have kind of an episode away from the other 4 episodes, because we spend pretty much the whole episode in the past in Atlantis, so we don't have the unit stuff and the stuff with the scientists. So this episode has a bit of a different feel to it than the first 4 episodes, which are, very much like a unit story. But we're away from unit, and we're away from the present, and we're also away from the 2 scientists who are in this guest stars in this episode. So this episode has a very unique feel to it compared to the rest of the story. And I liked it. I mean, we're getting introduced for characters we hadn't seen much of, like the King. We'd only seen him a little bit. And of course getting introduced to Ingrid Pitt's character and her kind of maiden that's with her, which I kind of like the maiden because she's kind of helping Joe out. So it's interesting to be getting new characters that are interesting characters introduced this late in the story. And I like how right at the end with the cliffhanger, you can tell we switched from studio to film. It's a nice little cliffhanger with Joe hearing the roar, and she probably sees the Doctor, but it could be the Minotaur. The colors on the film shot right at the cliffhanger did look a little washed out, a little blander than the rest. Maybe the source wasn't as good for that, I don't know. But it was still a good cliffhanger. I liked episode 5. It was another one of those, I'm like, I should be writing notes. Because it definitely picked back up. 3 and 4, I guess the middle of the story, did feel like a bit of filler with not as much going on, and they definitely weren't as interesting, whereas I enjoyed episodes 1 and 2. But episode 5 I liked. Again, I liked the different feel to it. I really liked the King a lot. Ingrid Pitt, whew, what a phenomenal actress. And again, it's just nice seeing Delgado having to work for the Fly. Although he work on the Fly. But I do like that he's not at a loss. Now he's trying to work with the Queen to manipulate to get to the crystal. Again, that's what I love about Delgado's master. He doesn't stay out of control for long. He thinks really fast on the fly, much like the Doctor, most of the Doctors. And, immediately has another plan, another way to attack the problem. I like that. I'm enjoying that. So episode 5 of The Time Monster, I really liked. I did really enjoy it. Possibly my favorite part so far. So, episode 5 of The Time Monster. What do you think? Comment down below and let me know. Other things to do. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button. That helps me out. My goal in 2023 is to reach 1,000 subscribers. We're almost at 900, so I would appreciate you hitting that button and helping me out if you enjoy my content. If you really enjoy my content, I also have a Patreon and would appreciate if you would take a second and look at that, see if anything there interests you. That does help me keep the bills paid, several different tiers to look at. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, Dr. Finn Perkins, and Unknown289. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons. I also have a P.O. box if there's anything you would like to send me to look at and review, Doctor Who related or otherwise. And a link to my Amazon wish list, some neat little knickknacks I'm interested in, is down there as well. Most importantly, though, thank you for watching.